Hello, this is Valerie Aiello, and you are listening to Idea Diary. Thanks for coming back to my office and hanging out. All right, today we are going over the book Bottom Up Marketing by Ries and Jack Trout. There are some interesting things in this book also. So let's just quickly go over the main points. So they say the tactics dictate the most effective strategy for a company and not the other way around. They say a business, in essence, like the marketing of a business, is the strategy of the business. So, and a tactic is an idea and it's your competitive mental angle, which differentiates your product from all the others in the marketplace. Basically, a company is all the marketing activities is to maximize sales, obviously. And the big picture overall, the strategy is where the company wants to go, and while the tactics are the details of how to get there. So I thought this is like an interesting point that your marketing strategy is the business, not necessarily whatever your business is doing, because potentially a lot of people can do what your business is doing. And the way that you're different is how you present your company. I think that's a different way to look at making a successful business because most people focus on the thing and focus on helping the customer or being the best for the customer when apparently that doesn't really matter when you are going big. And at some level, it does matter, but it's not like the absolutely most important thing the way that people think that it is. 7 little points that they point out in this book is go down to the front line of the customers. So when they talk about bottom up marketing, usually all the executives decide what the processes are going to be for the company and the strategy and the marketing. And then they go to the managers and then they go do their tactics and then they hope the customer likes it, which is not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to do bottom up marketing and focus on the front line and the customers first. So that's their number one tip is to focus on the front line. Number 2 is to monitor trends in the customer lifestyle. So you want to know what the customer is feeling, what are the new things in their life that's happening, how do they do things, and that's number 2. Number 3 is they say to narrow focus on a topic or sorry, on a tactic. So if we think the tactic is an idea for the competitive mental edge compared to your customers, when you narrow down focus on a tactic, that makes it stronger. Number 4, turn your tactic into strategy. And your tactics and your strategy become the entire reason why your company exists at all. Number 5, once you have your strategy picked out, then you sell your idea to the top management. And number 6 is you launch your ideas. And number 7 is you cut loose anything that is obviously failing. So be able to change quickly. The reason why I think this book is interesting is because of that idea, and bosses might not want to hear this, but bosses mess things up. So senior management of a company is generally the most isolated from the real world and the actual customer and the customer's needs and wants and problems. So you don't want your top executives planning stuff. And then your middle managers, I guess, they don't want to be fired for making a mistake. They are kind of tempted with making a lot of decisions, like covering all the bases because they don't want to look like they're a failure and their ideas aren't working. So they kind of mess it up because they're not doing the number 3 advice point, which is to narrow focus on a tactic. So middle managers can mess it up. Another thing that can mess up your strategy is the company trying to make the customer fit into its strategy. So that never works. You got to start with the bottom up. Got to start with the front lines with your customer first and then make plans. And also, they say that when you're planning your strategy, you've got to work in to allow the moves for the competitors, change your mind, change your ideas, pivot. Every strategy has to have plans in order to be able to make a change quick. Some examples of top down marketing, they say you want to do bottom up marketing, start with the customer, then do your strategy, then go to management and talk them into your plan. So, some failures where some companies do top down marketing approaches, which is start with the management, then go to strategy, then try to hope the customer likes it, is when GE, General Electric, they decided to compete with IBM and also make computers. Did not happen. Xerox did the same thing. They tried to make computers. There's actually a story with Bill Gates and Steve Jobs where they were working with Xerox to try to make the computer, but then for whatever was going on at Xerox, they were not able to make it happen and they lost a bunch of money and never came out with a computer. And then I think basically a lot of car makers do this mistake to where they think they know what the people want and then they make a car and spend billions of dollars, release the car, and it's a flop. This can happen in a small company too, where the owner thinks that they know everything and they've built up this company in a certain way and they're kind of blind to new trends and letting things be changed a little bit. I think this can happen on all different kinds of business levels. I definitely think if you're maybe working for a company and you feel like things aren't working, check out this book, Bottom Up Marketing, Ries and Jack Trout, and maybe there's an angle you can pitch to your bosses saying, "Look, in 1990, they kind of knew this would happen in companies where if you're not focusing on the bottom front line of what the customers want, and you're maybe focusing on what the executives want first, that is a recipe for disaster. And maybe you can get in some of your ideas into the company strategy." Anyways, that is it for this book. I'll probably do at least one more book by these two guys. The positioning book seems to be popular, but the things I've seen, it's more repeating. So if it just is another kind of repeat fest of what is all happening, I probably won't do that book. But if there's something new, then I'm definitely going to come and put it into the show, archive it into my notes, and share it with you. I guess that's the show for today. Thanks for coming and hanging out.